Welcome back to your local election headquarters. Andy Mehalshick along with producer Jayne Bugda, and our guest for this segment, U.S. Senator Bob Casey, running for a third term in the U.S. Senate. Senator Casey, thanks for joining us today.
Andy, good to be with you. Jayne, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me start off with a question. You know, people are looking at what's happening in Washington these days, last year or so especially, the volatility, the very hostile climate between Dems and the Ds and the Rs. What can you do, and what have you tried to do to bring more civility to Washington?
Well, part of that, Andy, is up to the individuals. You've got to make an effort. Every member of Congress has to make an effort to try to work with both sides. And there are times when you can have a disagreement without using invective or strong language. And I think more of us need to do that. I've tried to do that. Sometimes you get frustrated, you get angry, and you want to make a point. But I think there are also ways to, in addition to how you conduct yourself, ways to achieve common ground. One of the best things I did was work with a Republican Senator, Richard Burr, to pass into legislation, or I should say pass legislation, called the ABLE Act, which said that for the first time in the tax code we would make sure that families had a tax advantage way to save for a disability, just like you save for college, so that a child with a disability can have a savings account that they can use later in their life when they're an adult. There are a number of bills that I've been able to pass into law. Most recently, a bill with Susan Collins to help the opioid crisis, help grandparents who are raising a grandchild because of the opioid crisis. A bill with Mike Enzi from Wyoming that reestablished and improved our career and technical education programs. So it's possible to do it, but you have to work at it.
And Senator, immigration continues to be a hot button topic. Where do you stand on immigration, and how do we fix a system that many people say is apparently broken?
I think it is broken, and the bipartisan approach to that has to start with border security. I think we had a good opportunity and a good, if I could call it a test run, way back in 2013, where 68 United States senators voted for a comprehensive bill. And the first part of that bill was border security. Nothing would happen unless we secured the border by using technology and investing in ways to secure the border, doubling the Border Patrol, adding 20,000 more Border Patrol agents. So border security has to be central to it. I think we can do that in a bipartisan way, but also work on the other issues like the guest worker issues and others that have made it difficult to achieve bipartisan consensus. The worst thing we could do is not try to solve the problem and just go down the path that some in Washington have taken. We need a bipartisan solution. I think we can get there.
Senator, what about, of course, the elephant in the room again this year, health care? Where do we go for it? We had so-called Obamacare, then President Trump came in. Where do we stand with that, and what would you propose to improve the health care system?
Well, the main thing, Andy, I think in this election year is we should all agree and take actions in furtherance of the agreement that people that have protections today for pre-existing conditions should have them no matter what. There's no reason why we should go back to those dark days when an insurance company could deny you or your family, sometimes children, treatment or coverage because they had a pre-existing condition. Unfortunately, it's a difference in this campaign between my opponent and me. We've got to make sure that those protections are there. We've got to make sure that Medicare and Medicaid are protected. The repeal bills that were proposed in 2017 would have decimated Medicaid and turned Medicare into a voucher program. We've got to make sure that we protect those programs. And again, this can be done in a bipartisan fashion if you're willing to sit down and work together to protect the more than 31,000 people in Luzerne County that have health care because of the Affordable Care Act. We need to make sure that those folks have that health care, that the protections are in place. And lastly, we need to work together with Democrats and Republicans to lower the cost of health care.
Jobs always an important topic on everyone's mind. So how do we attract more jobs to the Commonwealth and then retain them here?
One of the best things we could do at the federal level, and I would hope the President would be able to work with both sides on this, and I think he can, is on the issue of infrastructure. Investing in rebuilding our roads and bridges and ports and water systems, but also to invest in the new infrastructure, which is broadband. We still have too many people that live in small towns and rural areas that don't have broadband. and we've got to make sure that that's part of a major, excuse me, a major infrastructure plan that could be bipartisan. I'd also say to attract the jobs of the future to northeastern Pennsylvania, we've got to make sure that not only do children have early education and have a quality education, but can get the skills they need, and some of those skills that we can provide over time are in the career and technical fields. That's why that bill that I passed with Mike Enzi, Senator from Wyoming, is so important to creating that high-skilled workforce that will attract the jobs of the future. And this region, I think, has a lot of assets that can attract those jobs.
And Senator, this question is an easy question, folks. Of all the issues facing America today, what is the most important issue facing federal lawmakers moving forward, starting in January? What's the most important issue you think that has to be addressed if you had to pick the number one?
I think other than national security and making sure that our national security continues to be bipartisan in how we approach it, the most important domestic issue, I think, is health care. We need to make sure that we're not only preserving the gains that we made when 20 million people got health care and more than 150 million people got better protections, but we need to make sure that we're working on strategies to lower the cost of health care. We even last year had a bipartisan effort to do that. We need to continue that to work together to bring down health care costs.
And Senator, one final question or one final thing. So look at our camera and tell the voters why they should re-elect you to the Senate.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. I think the people of Pennsylvania have a very clear choice to make in this race. My candidacy is a candidacy that focuses on building a stronger middle class, lifting wages, creating jobs for those middle class families, those trying to get to the middle class, protecting our workers, and we're going to make sure that if I have the opportunity to serve a third term in the United States Senate, that I continue to protect health care, protect those that have health care, try to lower the cost of health care, and lower other costs like the cost of child care, prescription drugs, and help people save for college and retirement. I ask for your vote. I'm honored and privileged to be able to ask for your vote, and I'm grateful for this opportunity.
And Senator Casey, again, thank you for joining us here today. Thank you for your time. And that'll do it for now from your local election headquarters. We'll be back again.